After walking through the larger half of the marsh, Levin and Veslovsky reached the place where the peasants' mowing grass was divided into long strips reaching to the reeds, marked off in one place by the trampled grass, in another by a path mown through it. Half of these strips had already been mown. Though there was not so much hope of finding birds in the uncut part as the cut part, Levin had promised Stepan Arkadyevitch to meet him, and so he walked on with his companion through the cut and uncut patches. "Hi, sportsman!" shouted one of a group of peasants, sitting on an unharnessed cart. "Come and have some lunch with us." "Have a drop of wine." Levin looked round. "Come along, it's all right," shouted a good-humored looking bearded peasant with a red face, showing his white teeth in a grin, and holding up a greenish bottle that flashed in the sunlight. Qu'est-ce qu'ils disent ? Asked Veslovsky. "They invite you to have some vodka. Most likely they've been dividing the meadow into lots." "I should have some," said Levin, not without some guile, hoping Veslovsky would be tempted by the vodka, and would go away to them. "Why do they offer it?" "Oh, they're merrymaking." "Really, you should join them. You would be interested. Allons, c'est curieux. You go, you'll find the way to the mill," cried Levin, and looking round he perceived with satisfaction that Veslovsky, bent and stumbling with weariness, holding his gun out at arm's length, was making his way out of the marsh towards the peasants. "You come too," the peasants shouted to Levin. "Never fear. You taste our cake." Levin felt a strong inclination to drink a little vodka and to eat some bread. He was exhausted, and felt it a great effort to drag his staggering legs out of the mire, and for a minute he hesitated. But Laska was setting. And immediately all his weariness vanished, and he walked lightly through the swamp towards the dog. A snipe flew up at his feet, he fired and killed it. Laska still pointed, "Fetch it." Another bird flew up close to the dog. Levin fired. But it was an unlucky day for him, he missed it, and when he went to look for the one he had shot, he could not find that either. He wandered all about the reeds, but Laska did not believe he had shot it, and when he sent her to find it, she pretended to hunt for it, but did not really. And in the absence of Visenka, on whom Levin threw the blame of his failure, things went no better. There were plenty of snipe still, but Levin made one miss after another. The slanting rays of the sun were still hot, his clothes, soaked through with perspiration, stuck to his body, his left boot full of water weighed heavily on his leg and squeaked at every step, the sweat ran in drops down his powder-grimed face, his mouth was full of the bitter taste, his nose of the smell of powder and stagnant water, his ears were ringing with the incessant whir of the snipe, he could not touch the stock of his gun, it was so hot, his heart beat with short, rapid throbs, his hands shook with excitement, and his weary legs stumbled and staggered over the hillocks and in the swamp, but still he walked on and still he shot. At last, after a disgraceful miss, he flung his gun and his hat on the ground. "No, I must control myself," he said to himself. Picking up his gun and his hat, he called Laska, and went out of the swamp. When he got on to dry ground he sat down, pulled off his boot and emptied it, then walked to the marsh, drank some stagnant-tasting water, moistened his burning hot gun, and washed his face and hands. Feeling refreshed, he went back to the spot where a snipe had settled, firmly resolved to keep cool. He tried to be calm, but it was the same again. His finger pressed the cock before he had taken a good aim at the bird. It got worse and worse. He had only 5 birds in his game bag when he walked out of the marsh towards the alders where he was to rejoin Stepan Arkadyevitch. Before he caught sight of Stepan Arkadyevitch he saw his dog. Croc darted out from behind the twisted root of an alder, black all over with the stinking mire of the marsh, and with the air of a conqueror sniffed at Laska. Behind Croc there came into view in the shade of the alder tree the shapely figure of Stepan Arkadyevitch. He came to meet him, red and perspiring, with unbuttoned neckband, still limping in the same way. "Well? You have been popping away," he said, smiling good-humoredly. "How have you got on?" queried Levin. But there was no need to ask, for he had already seen the full game bag. "Oh, pretty fair. He had 14 birds. A splendid marsh. I've no doubt Veslovsky got in your way. It's awkward too, Shooting with one dog, said Stepan Arkadyevitch, to soften his triumph. Chapter 11. When Levin and Stepan Arkadyevitch reached the peasant's hut where Levin always used to stay, Veslovsky was already there. He was sitting in the middle of the hut, clinging with both hands to the bench from which he was being pulled by a soldier, the brother of the peasant's wife, who was helping him off with his miry boots. Veslovsky was laughing his infectious, good-humored laugh. I've only just come. Ils ont été charmants. Just fancy, they gave me drink, fed me. Such bread, it was exquisite. Delicio exclamation mark and the vodka, I never tasted any better. And they would not take a penny for anything.